Hello everyone, today I have Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. This tab took me a while to find. I still don't really like some of it, so I kind of substitute my own, mostly chord shapes into it, because it seems like it was written just for almost like a sheet music style, so some of the hand positions are a little bit awkward, but I'll teach the tabs and I'll teach what I do instead, and whichever one works for you, or you can do it your own way, really. On another note, this new room is kind of echoey, so I'm sorry about that. I've got to figure out how to make it sound better. Probably put a carpet down or something. But anyway, we're going to get right into it. This is in the key of C sharp minor, which is one of the reasons why I chose this tab, because some of the other ones are in the key of A minor, or some have a capo on the 4th fret and then use C sharp minor that way. But I kind of just liked it without a capo and in C sharp minor. So that's kind of why I chose this tab. We start with C sharp minor chord. If you don't know what that is, it's an A minor, but with your index finger over the top of the 4th fret. We start with pinching both the A and the D string together on 4 and 6, and then we do G and B, and that's kind of a recurring theme. For one thing, this whole song is pretty much in triplets. So, and then you do the same thing again with the D, G, and B, and again, and one more time. So one just sounds like this. Okay, now here's where I substitute in one of my own chord shapes. I play because if you'll see, what they have you playing is 7 on the E, 6 on the D, 6 also on the, this is what it is, this shape here. So they have 7 on the low E, 6 on the D, 6 on the G, and 5 on the B. So you kind of keep that A minor shape, but then your pinky is on the 7 of the low E. And they have you pinching the E and the D together and then playing G, B, and then D, G, B, D, G, B, D, G, B. Which works fine, but I found the transition, I mean, it's not terrible, but I still don't really like this chord shape very much. So instead, mine is you have your middle finger on the 2nd of the A, you have the open D, you don't use the D. You have 1st on the G with your index, 2nd on the B with your ring finger, and then open high E. And you pinch the A and the D together, and then B, and then the E. And then you just go G, B, E. So either one you want to use, or make your own, whichever works. But for me, I just like this chord shape better. Okay, after that you have, which is pretty easy, it's just like a basic F shape, but you have your root instead on the 7th of the D. So I wrap my thumb around to get the 5th of the low E, because you pinch 5 and 7 on the E and the D. You could bar it if you wanted to, but I find my thumb is easy enough. So pinch those two together, and then G, B, and then again. But this time you only do it twice. So before you did it 4 times each, this one is just, and that's it. So far, and then next we have just a D major with the 2nd on the E as well. Again, you could wrap your or bar the 2nd with your index, but I like to wrap my thumb around, so it's just a D major with your thumb wrapped around on the second fret of the E. At this shape we have, so we pinch the E string and the G string, and then we hit the B and then the high E. And then G, B, E. So far altogether we have and then you end on the fourth measure with like that. So you start with the shape, you bar the fourth with your index finger, and then you have your ring finger on the sixth of the D, you have your middle finger on the fifth of the G, and your pinky on the seventh of the B. You pinch the E and the D together, and then you have G, B, and now you're gonna shift your hands a little bit. Your ring finger is gonna stay in the same place, but your middle finger is gonna go to the B string. So now you have 5 on the B string, and your pinky is gonna go to the sixth of the G string. So now you're almost in like another C sharp minor. So that. It's kind of a subtle move, but it's not too hard. You can use your ring finger as like the pivot point because it doesn't move. Then we have, you take off your middle finger, so now you have, and this time you also hit the E string again, so you pinch E and D, and then again G, B. Now you can either keep the bar and do, so 4, 5, 4 on the D, G, and B, but I like to just take off the bar because I find it kind of annoying to hold that shape with making sure all the notes ring out. I've got to kind of move my index finger up for that to happen. So I find it easier just to kind of make a D shape right there with 4, 5, 4. And that's the end of measure 4, so measure 4 sounds like this. Okay, now measure 5 we have we start here with the 4 on the A string, I use my pinky, the 2 on the D string, I use my middle finger, hit those together, and then you have first fret on the G string followed by the second on the B string. And now go back to the G string, back to the B, and then open high E. And now you move to this chord. You have 6 on the G, 6 on the D, 6 on the G, 5 on the B, and 4 on the high E. Go up those 3, and then when you get to the high E, pinch the D string and the E string together. That's how 5 ends. So 5 altogether sounds like. You'll notice the tempo changes slightly when you hit that high E on the 4th string again. When we get to 6, I have another chord change. I don't use their chord. You can use this chord, but it's kind of a stretch, and it doesn't help you out for the next shape either. So they have you playing 3 and 6 on the A and the D string, which is already enough of a stretch, really. But then you have your middle finger playing the 4th of the high E. So I don't really like that shape. So instead, mine is this, which I find a little bit more friendly. It's not terribly easy either, but it's easier. So for mine, I have my middle finger on the 8th of the E, I have my index finger on the 6th of the D, and I have my pinky on the 9th of the B. So I have an octave here. And then my middle finger goes over the top of it. And this helps you out with the next chord transition, which is so it's way easier, I find, to be up here already than to have been down here and then move all the way up. So whichever way works for you. But so the way I do it, I pinch all 3 of those strings together, because you see that this original one was also pinching all 3 together. But up here I pinch all of them together, and then I move my ring finger pretty much where it wants to go, just right there on the 8th of the G, which is why this chord shape I think works better. So put that there, and then you have 7th of the B. I use my middle finger. And then you have 6th on the D string. I use my index. Do that twice. And now again, I don't do the same thing that they do. They want you to go so you see the 4th on the high E, but that's kind of a stretch, not very comfortable, and you have to have this shape with not like this feels more comfortable to me than that, which is why it took me a little bit to find that shape. So instead, what I do, I go just put my pinky down on the 9th of the B. So it kind of sounds like this. When you hit that, you'll also pinch the D string. And you just let go of it, so you're back to the 7th. So far on that little part, we have this first chord, and then put your ring finger down, middle finger comes back, and then to end it, you do the same as you did back here. Now you go back to the C sharp minor. So that part's kind of confusing. It's hard because they don't have tabs for it because I made it up myself. But slowly, it looks and sounds like this. So when you get to the C sharp minor again, this time you're going to play 3 notes. You're going to pinch the A, D, and high E strings. And then you play the G and B. Now go D, G, B. Switch it up now. You bar with your index on the 2nd fret, and you have your pinky on the 5th of the high E. You hit the low E, the G, and the high E. I find that if I have my index finger just like this, I have a harder time hitting that G string, but if I if I put it further up, I have a less difficult time. You need to find a good balance of where to put it, because it's hard to make all the strings ring out, I find, when I'm holding a bar chord. So you pluck the G, E, the E's together and the G's, and then you take off your pinky and hit the B and the E, and then you go G, B, E. It's not too bad. And then here's another place where I change. They want you to go with this chord shape, I think. Something like this. Yeah, like that. It just is kind of messy. So my version is also not the best, but what I do is I have a D major shape with my ring, index, and middle finger, which is kind of an awkward shape to make, but it works. You move that up so that your pinky is on the 5th fret of the B, and then you bar the 2nd fret with your middle finger. Although you don't really need to bar it, you just need to have the B note. So where it says to have 7, 6, 4 on the 8th measure, I just hit the B and the E string together, or no, the A and the E string, not the B. So I only hit 2 notes, and then I go. So it's not really as good as the shape they have, but their shape is so annoying. So if you want to play the one of the tabs, feel free. The shape is also not the best. I've tried to find a better one. I'm sure there is a better one, but this is what I have so far. So pinch the A and the E together, and then play G and B, and then A, G, B. So with the 7th measure, that ends up sounding like this. Okay, and then you move. It's a good idea to keep your pinky on the B string and slide it up to the 7th, and use that as your like anchor pivot point, because you're gonna have the 7 on. You're pretty much gonna bar the 7th, but you don't need every note. So I find it more useful just to hit the notes you need, which is 7th on the E, on the D, and on the B. So from this chord shape, I slide my pinky up to the 7th, and then I put down my middle finger on the E string and my ring finger on the D string. But you could easily just cover the whole thing. Hit those two together, and then bar the 4th fret with your index. Oh. Hit the G and B. And then you have 7 on the high E and on the G. So repeat what you did with the 4th fret. And then I'm going to end the lesson on an E major, because that's where we're going to pick up in the next one, on the 9th measure. So I'm going to play it through really slowly. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. I know it's hard because I made up my own chord shapes and I don't have the tabs for those. But you can follow along with the tabs and it will sound the same, if not slightly better, slightly more accurate. Or make your own chord shapes up if you want to as well. So thank you for watching. I know the sound isn't probably the best, I'm trying to figure it out, but I appreciate it. Have fun with this one, and have a great day.